Mojo 50 Radio. The millennial conservative resistance begins right here, right now.
Oh, yes indeed, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, children of all ages, the new millennial conservative resistance does indeed begin right here, right now with you! You are listening to, and damn, I hope you're watching it, it's the HoloNet on the mighty, the powerful Mojo 50 Radio! Coming to you right now from Mojo 50's forward operating base located in the scorching heat of the Sonoran Desert. I am your host, Matt Holloway, and I'm way more energetic than normal. I think it's because I took a weekend off. What do you think? Maybe? Just a titch. And I am proud to report that since the quarantine, since the lockdown, my hair has now reached what I can only describe as near 2005 levels of douchebaggery. It looks like I'm wearing a headband or a hairband or something. Hang on, I'm going to take off these headphones. Look at it! Look at this! My hair hasn't been this long since, I kid you not, 2005, where I achieved maximum douchebaggery. I am going to pull that up on the screen right now, just so you guys can get a good, high-quality laugh at this. Hang on. I got it here. I swear I got it here. Nope. That's an ad. Oh, come on. I thought I pulled it up. I didn't pull it up? Oh, man. Of course, couldn't get it up in time. So let me see here. Yep, there it is. There he is. That is Matthew Holloway, circa 2005. That hair was long enough to ponytail. Yep, curly and with the sunglasses in there. And I know it's a blurry shot. This is actually a picture at my mother's, at my mom's wedding in 2005. My mom got remarried. Yep, that's me. That is Matt Holloway, age 19. Look at that. Just, my God. Look at that sexy son of a... Look at him! The prime of his life. Anyway, back to like the present me, who looks like the chubbier dad vodded version. Yeah, I'm gonna close that before I start crying. My God. Anyway, yeah, that was my hair at the height of douchebaggery, but stuff's getting long, man. I need a barber in a bad way. In a bad friggin' way. I need it. Anyway, so... It has been a while. It has been 2 whole weeks because I took a quick little sabbatical up to the woods, as I discussed with our good friends, the Defenders Live, Defenders of American Exceptionalism, Dylan Lyles and Stephen Area, were kind enough to take my call last night and had a great little chat with them. God, it's been a while since I got on their show. But it was a good time. I recommend you listen to it. Show was a complete and total dumpster. You see, I don't need the sounder. I can actually just do that with my voice because I'm that skilled. Dumpster fire! So, lot happens in 2 weeks. In our case, everybody became a homeschooling advocate, right? Those of us who'd never thought about homeschooling in our lives, those of us who had never even conceived of it, suddenly started listening to Sam Sorbo. By the way, if you haven't listened to her show, check out the Sam Sorbo Show, weekdays on Mojo 50. We started listening to folks like Sam Sorbo who told us it's difficult, but you can do it. And my wife, I have to give her such props, such unbelievable props, because she and my little boy Jack handled it like a boss. They definitely did. And I know that the whole like a boss is a just savage ripoff of Jacksepticeye, but he influenced my work. What can I say? But yes, my wife and son handled it like the bosses that they are, and Jack got through all of his work. It's fantastic. I am very, very happy with that, and my wife never wants to do it again. But it's this whole debacle of the complete and total quarantine that was not necessary now, that so many people are saying is not necessary. Hey, at the forefront, I'm guilty because I started playing this stuff.
Thank you to Chris Franklin for these lyrics.
You remember this? Stay the F at home? Remember?
The world has caught a virus, so I've written you a poem. We need your help to cure it, so stay the at home.
Yeah.
And if you
I
have
painstakingly
got 12 kids or you're
bleeped
living
that.
on your own.
Yeah, no. I'm guilty. I was amongst the people saying, stay the F at home, because that's what all of the reliable sources were telling us. They were telling us to stay home. And you know, I bought in for a little bit. I'm guilty. I was taken in by the likes of Dr. Fauci, by the likes of Dr. Birx, by the warnings that were coming from the White House, from President Trump, you know, a trusted source. Everybody was saying, this is going to be bad, this is going to be bad, this is going to be bad, stay at home, all the experts. And at the end of the day, they were completely full of it. Just totally full of it. And it's disappointing. I'm not saying it's disappointing that less people died. I mean, that's a blessing. That's fantastic that less people died than they thought were going to die. What's disappointing is how quickly and how readily we just cashiered our rights. We just said, no, the government can tell me to come and go. The government can tell me when to leave my house, when to come back in. I'll stand 6 feet apart from people. I'll follow these nice little arrows that are on the ground. I'll wear my face mask. I don't even have my face mask because I'm in my own house and I don't need my face mask. But, you know, I'll wear the face mask. I'll do all the things. You know, my family's been quarantined. My wife and kids haven't hardly gone out. I've done all the grocery shopping because I'm essential and I had to work anyway. So I was already out there. We did everything right. And you have some states like Michigan that are saying, oh, it's not over yet, with the psychotic governor of Michigan and her psycho AG now saying that President Trump isn't welcome in the state because he wouldn't wear a mask for the press. He wore the mask when he was inside the plant in many sensitive areas, and they snuck a couple of pictures of him wearing the presidential mask. I swear to God, I think it had like the seal of the President of the United States like down here on the chin. But he told them, I didn't want to wear it for the benefit of the press. I didn't want to give you the pleasure of seeing that. And I'm just so disillusioned because this has all been a load of bullshit. It really has been. This COVID-19, this coronavirus, thus far has proven objectively no worse than a particularly bad flu season. Objectively. People around the world are dying from it. People around the world die from the flu every damn year. They have every damn year since the Spanish flu. And I got on Twitter today, and I saw a tweet from the venerable, the much respected portrayer of Star Trek's Captain Hikaru Sulu, George Takei. And George Takei, or Takei, however he pronounces it, I don't really know, asserted that there is a great deal of racism going on against Asian people who are being marked as responsible for the Wuhan flu, the Chinese flu, the commie cough. No, dude, no. Nobody with half a brain is holding the Chinese people as a whole responsible for the Wuhan flu. Note, I predicated that on having half a brain. Okay, that's not up on screen right now. I suppose I can pull it up. I can stop being lazy. Yeah, you know, still need a producer, Ron. Just let's make that happen. Get the wonderful unpaid program here at the HoloNet. Yeah, okay, so George Takei says, I faced discrimination, hatred, and internment because of my Japanese heritage. All true. And because only a few people stood up for us. Today, Asian Americans are being unfairly labeled and attacked, this time as disease carriers. Raise your hand, friends, if you'll stand up for us today. Jackhole Lazarus responded, I would never assume someone is a disease carrier based on ethnicity. Now, if that person just flew in from Wuhan, I'd keep my distance until it's proven they're not infected. Common sense must apply. To which I replied, no one's been accused of being racist against Spaniards after calling it the Spanish flu for over a century, hashtag just saying, which Clyde S. Dale, Centaurs for Disease Control, said, check your history. Actually, I added the actually, Spain was pissed over that name. That's not what I'm saying. Spain can be pissed. China can be pissed. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has been accused of racism for calling it the Spanish mother flu! Nobody, not one damn person has been accused of being racist against Spaniards for calling it the Spanish flu. You know why? In case you're unaware, Spanish people are European in nature and typically tend to have a lighter skin complexion, ranging from very pale like white, which is common to Northern Europeans, to the olive-complected peoples of the Mediterranean Sea. In other words, they're not dark! Which means they lack the sufficient melanin count to ever have any discrimination against them considered to be racism. But I digress. Because, as many sources on the left have informed us, it is not possible to be racist against white people. Racism against white people doesn't exist because white people are always in the position of power. Therefore, which I believe is flagrantly bull, but we're going to allow them to use their example. Yes, Spain was pissed over that name, Clyde S. Dale, Centaurs for Disease Control. However, no one has been accused of being bigoted or racist against the Spaniards due to the Spanish flu. Ipso facto, nice straw man, jackass. Ooh, I missed the sensor on that one. It just wasn't fast enough. I'll have to see if I can catch it in post. I think I'm gonna probably leave it. Alrighty. I'm pretty charged up. I've got the coffee going. Turn the cup around, reveal that beautiful HoloNet logo on there. Old though, I need a new one. If you guys are interested in some HoloNet swag, hit me up in the comments. Let me know. I'll try to order some. I've done it before. It went absolutely nowhere fast. But if you guys want it, I will create it and I will sell it happily. And it will help to support the HoloNet. Speaking of which, stuff that you could buy with my name and my logo on it, I want to send you over to Sueño de Torres Cigars. Sueño de Torres Cigars. You can go to sueñodetorres.com and you can find the Constitutional. The Constitutional is a beautiful Connecticut wrapped Toro cigar. It's Dominican tobacco, hand-rolled fresh to order in Tampa, Florida. The Constitutional delivers a mild smoke with a perfect ash. It's an hour and a half of aromatic freedom. You can get a single for $8.95, a 5-pack for $43.75, or a 10-pack for $89.95. For $100, make it part of your dirty dozen, representing all the shows on Mojo 50 who enjoy a smokable. And you can do that today. You just need to go on to sueñodetorres.com, sueñodetorres.com, and you can click Contact Us right beneath the little post there. You'll get this lovely Contact Us order form, or you can call your order in to 727-290-8492, 727-290-8492, or email info@sueñodetorres.com. Get your Constitutional today. All right. Got that first ad spot out of the way at the 15-minute mark. Ran a little behind, but okay, we'll do it. Now I've managed to burn 15 minutes of the show without touching a single link that I set aside, because that tweet thing just happened recently. I usually do my show prep for days in advance, because I scour the interwebs. I do it for you so you don't have to. I scour them. I scour them to find the stories that you probably don't want to read. One of them is from the independent.co.uk. The Independent reports that Viktor Orban, the much ballyhooed far right wing, and in his case it's actually accurate, right wing, deeply conservative president of Hungary, has apparently quashed transgender rights in Hungary, and the rest of Europe is next. This by the Jane Fay, writer for the Independent, who writes, sadly, this move in Hungary is not a flash in the pan. Across Europe, especially in the East, the rollback of LGBTQ rights is all too real. She writes, and so he did it, just as we always knew.
Europe,
Hold.
probably like me.
Mute. Bloody hell. I hate it when the audio just pops up. Anyway. Mute. Here we go. And so he did it, just as we always knew, always feared he would. On Tuesday, Hungary's prime minister, sorry I said president before, Viktor Orban rounded off his acquisition of dictatorial powers, which we covered here on the HoloNet weeks ago. He basically told the parliament, go home, I got it from here, which is always a little alarming. But he rounded off his acquisition of dictatorial powers by pushing his pet project through parliament. Now, hold the phone. So we reported, I covered this, I read the stories last week, that he has adopted sweeping emergency powers, just specifically into his office as prime minister, and was no longer going to be relying on parliament. But he pushed this through parliament? So it's not quite Viktor Orban, it's the entire GD parliament of Hungary. So methinks you're focusing a little bit too much on Orban. We'll come back to that. By pushing his pet project through parliament, a new law asserts boldly that gender is immutable. Gender reassignment is no more. Hey, hang on. I just gotta get something here. All right, I don't have the applause sounder, but I was going to do the applause sounder. But yeah, I'll just do slow clap. Yes, gender is an immutable characteristic. Gender is absolutely an immutable binary construct. It is a binary biological state. There is no such thing as a transgendered person. There's a person who is a victim of gender dysphoria, which is a terrible disease. But anyway, she says, worse, those who have already transitioned may find their status changed or overturned. The prospect is horrific. Not just for the health impact on those transitioning or questioning. Horrific, too, for the way in which the floodgates have opened on violent reprisals against anyone who is or is suspected of being trans. Now, no, nobody should be a victim of violence. This is stupid. Nobody's suggesting that anybody should be a victim of violence. She says, experience suggests this move will be bad for women, for lesbians who fail to present sufficiently in femme fashion. I disagree. There have been women who presented as butch for decades, and your inability to do a chop a dick off of me or stick a dick onto me is not going to affect people's perception of a butch lesbian, and I think that's dishonest. So she goes on to write, if you are cis and part of a majority, in other words, if you're straight and correctly gendered, and part of a minority that has suffered persecution, you'll understand this part. But only trans people will get the unique awfulness of the move. Stand up and be counted or be cut down. Stand up, be counted, and be cut down. Or hide and slowly die inside. This is getting kind of thick, isn't it? Anyway, across Europe, especially in the East, the rollback of LGBT rights is all too real. A new study for the European Union Agency of Fundamental Rights suggests anti-LGBT prejudice and discrimination is growing in the street and in the workplace and through legislation. In Poland, whole areas of the country have declared themselves LGBT-free zones. Really? Okay, so I'm going to skip around a little bit here. Skip around. So, okay. That's all she's got. She doesn't go on any further on there. She just goes on to point out Trump and the Tories and basically lines up everybody in a right-wing government and takes pot shots at him for about 10 minutes. I'm not going to read that crap. You can go on there and read it if you want. Links in the description. But what we will get to real quick is that Viktor Orban did not do this unilaterally. This was voted on in the Hungarian parliament, and that nation of elected officials did this of their own accord. The people elected these people to parliament, and they elected Viktor Orban as their prime minister. They chose this. And if Hungary has decided that they do not recognize the junk science, the quackery that says that you can take a man and make him into a woman by adding breast implants, hormonal injections, and lopping his wedding tackle off. If you believe that junk science, it's up to you to believe. But you do not get to force that belief onto the people of Hungary, onto the people of Poland, onto the people of any other nation who have, through their governmental process, their representative process, voted people into office who then took the action that they wanted. You don't get to decide for other nations what they do and do not choose to recognize. Just like you do not get to force me as a free individual to recognize that a man is a woman and a woman is a man, and that there's a spectrum of 155 different genders. You don't get to force that upon me. You cannot force me to accept that. You cannot force me to acknowledge that. That is freedom of thought. I believe with every fiber of my being, and I believe it to be correct, that gender is a binary biological fact. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. A gay man is still a man. A lesbian woman is still a woman. A man who prefers to dress up in woman's clothing is still a man. And there is no medically reasonable explanation or worthy cause for someone to mutilate their body. If they choose to do so, I have no right to stop them. But they have no right to force me to endorse or support, much less pay for, their delusion. They cannot force me to address them as something that they are not. They cannot force me to see them as something that they are not. This is not 1984. I do not have to say that 1 + 1 = 3. I do not have to exist in a state of doublethink. At least, not yet. And with any luck, our children won't have to either. That sound! That means we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a college professor in Harvard who once again is coming out and saying that by homeschooling your children, you are damaging. All that here on the HoloNet, on the mighty, the powerful Mojo 50 Radio. Stick around.
Mojo 50 Radio. The millennial conservative resistance begins right here, right now.
Oh, we're back. You're listening to Holiday right here on the mighty and powerful Mojo 50 Radio. And you know, I debated on this. I really didn't want to touch on this story because everybody's hitting it. Everybody's hitting it. Just like it was your mom. Everybody's hitting it. It's this Joe Biden story. If you haven't heard about it, Joe Biden got on The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God. I could never get away with an air name like that. Charlemagne the God. Never mind like the inherent blasphemy of that statement. Charlemagne. Isn't that cultural appropriation? We'll come back to that. On The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God, Joe Biden, good old smoking Joe Biden, said this.
You got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
That's right. Joe Biden got on one of the most popular black-focused shows, The Breakfast Club, with one of the most popular radio hosts in that market and in that area, Charlemagne the God. That name's just crazy. And said, if you got a problem deciding between me and Trump, you ain't black. All day long. All day long. Twitter has been on fire yesterday. All day long yesterday, Twitter was on fire. Happened at like 8 o'clock in the morning. I saw this and my jaw hit the floor. And I said out loud, if a Republican said that, it's over. Over. Sure enough. You look at the news and Twitter today. And by the way, as of the recording of this, because I record on late Friday nights, gone off Twitter. Gone. Absolutely gone. No longer in the trending list. I'm going to hop on Trends 24 and see how long it actually trended for. I'm curious. But it's no longer trending. It got suppressed quick. But for much of the day, like I said, like all day long, "You ain't black" was trending number 1 on Twitter, followed by "Joe Biden is a racist." Ooh. And that continued for quite some time. You ain't black, and Joe Biden is a racist. Go to a story from the other company, from The Blaze. And, I don't know if you're on the HoloNet at all, but I posted a little story the other day about how President Trump and his campaign are the master trolls. They are the kings of trolling. If you want to check out that story, I'll drop a link in the description. Link's on my Facebook. But I put this up on Monday. It said, "Epic trolling. The Trump campaign website shows a confused Joe Biden as the error message." That's up on my screen right now. The 404 error for their website shows a very visibly confused Joe Biden and has the text, "It appears you are as lost as me." So I wrote this up saying, did you know that if you go to www.donaldjtrump.com, President Trump's official campaign website, add a / and random characters to the URL, that the site's 404 error displays a visibly confused and or disoriented former VP Joe Biden with the text, "It appears you are as lost as me." President Trump has been a controversial figure, with many on the right stridently supporting him and generating vehement loathing on the left, but history will assuredly remember that political trolling reached its highest expression in the years of President Donald J. Trump. Because lest we forget, the Trump copter, which I covered and reported, buzzed the Bernie Sanders rally here in Phoenix just a month or two ago. And before that, the Trump Navy, that's a little hard to see. Here we go. where a boat with a huge Trump sign went past Joe Biden as he spoke in California. And the website todosconbiden.com, or All With Biden, was purchased by the Trump campaign because Biden didn't think to do it. And it says, "Oops, Joe se lo olvidó de los Latinos," which means, oops, Joe forgot about Latinos. Joe is all talk. But wait, there's more. News breaking as of yesterday. The Trump campaign is now selling hashtag You Ain't Black t-shirts quoting Joe Biden. Oh, God. The Trump campaign immediately condemned Biden's comments, with senior advisor Katrina Pearson issuing a statement saying, in part, white liberal elitists have continuously dictated which black Americans are allowed to come to the table and have a voice. It is clear now more than ever these racist and dehumanizing remarks that Joe Biden believes black men and women are incapable of being independent or free-thinking. Now, I could give you multiple criticisms about this, but I think that the best responses have come from black conservatives who, according to former Vice President Biden, evidently are no longer black. So I've reposted this on facebook.com/HollowNet, but I'm going to go ahead and run this for you now if I can get it to bloody load, because my computer is giving me the finger right now. As we speak, it's giving me the bird. While we're waiting for that, if you haven't been on there yet, please go to AmericanPrideRoasters.com. American Pride Roasters, the official coffee of Mojo 50 Radio. American Pride Roasters, you can get Watson Prunier's white chocolate. You can get Doc Thompson's Uranus Hertz. You can get the Bacon Blast. You can get Ron's Sexual Chocolate. And you can get the Bells of Liberty. I believe that's still available. I think there was a couple left. But you can get all that on AmericanPrideRoasters.com. AmericanPrideRoasters.com, the official coffee of Mojo 50. Make it happen. Oh, you can also get Izzo's Rage, the angriest coffee in recorded human freaking history. And that'll make Izzo happy, because Izzo only likes you if you drink his coffee. So, okay, we're going to go to this audio now. This is from Terrence K. Williams on Facebook right now. Here we go.
Premier Trump, and you ain't black. And you ain't black.
This is Joe Biden now. Quote, "If you have a problem with figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black." You ain't black. See, first of all, I have a problem with his choice of language. And secondly, this is a prime example of how liberal Democrats, they love to dictate the way black people should think. Well, you know what? I got a message for Joe Biden. Let me be clear about one thing. I ain't voting for you, but I am black. And I am voting for President Donald J. Trump. You got me, Joe Biden, and those other liberals who think you can think for us. Now we're not even black if we don't vote for you. What an insult. Peace out, America.
Joe Biden, you put black men in jail. You palled around with segregationists. In fact, you said that integration would turn America into a racial jungle. And yet you think that somehow I'm not black if I don't vote for you? You're crazy. And it's not even about all those things that you've done over the years. It's not even about how the Democrat Party has destroyed the African-American family and has destroyed the African-American community with bad and failed leadership and policies. This is about the idea that you have, that you think that you own black votes. You think that you own black people. Black people are lucky enough to have an administration that actually passed criminal justice reform. You know, so we actually released all of those black men and women that you spent decades putting in prison. We actually have an administration that permanently funded historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, the one that under your administration, when you were vice president, had to struggle to get funding. We actually have an administration that at one point attained the lowest black unemployment in American history. So no, Joe Biden, I do not have to vote for you to prove that I'm black enough. We do not have to vote for Democrats to prove that we are black enough. Democrats do not own the votes of black people, white people, Latino people, Asian people, or anybody else. And the fact that you would have the gall to say that, that tells me that you don't really care about black people. You don't really care about black votes. You think that you own them. Well, I've got news for you. This is one black vote that you do not own, that you will never own. And I bet there are millions of black Americans all across the country that feel the same. See you in November.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, hang on. Ooh.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, that had to sting a little bit. Just it's as if Representative Vernon Jones, by the way, the first gentleman who spoke, and Rob Smith just wanted to tell President Trump.
All of you!
Well, no, not tell President Trump that, but tell Vice President Biden that, yeah. And all of the Democrats that are out there. My God! I tweeted it out this morning. The Biden candidacy was declared dead at 0800 hours on 5/22/20. Yesterday morning, rather. But we're going to have to see. We're really going to have to see. I know a lot of people have been saying that this could be a death knell for the Biden campaign. Other people have been a little bit more... What's the word I'm looking for here? Cynical. A lot of people have been very, very cynical about this. That there is nothing that Joe Biden can do to not get voted for by Democrats. And a very good friend of mine posted up a post that I really have to agree with. Now, don't get me wrong, this old friend of mine, not a conservative by any stretch of the imagination, but she made a very, very valid point. That President Trump and Joe Biden have very, very similar issues here with their supporters. So let me see if I can pull that up here. Oh man, how come I can't find it? Why can't I find it? Not gonna be able to pull it up in time. Can't get it up in time. I keep saying that. But, okay, so the post went something along the lines of, President Trump could kill somebody in downtown and, people would still vote for him. And one celebrity Democrat had said Joe Biden could boil and eat a baby and they would still vote for him. That's kind of what it's come down to, hasn't it? The country is so polarized. The teams are so set. It's so locked in at this stage that no matter what Joe Biden does, no matter what he says, no matter what insanity spews forth from his dementia-riddled gray matter, the Democrats are still going to vote for him. They're still going to vote for him. There's nothing left to be done. And the hardliner Republicans are still going to vote for President Donald J. Trump no matter what he does, no matter what he says. But here's something that I have to point out to you. President Donald J. Trump is an hole. That's right. That's absolutely right. He's an hole. I'm going to have to censor up the whole song by Dennis Leary, because I think that's appropriate for the president. Because he loves to park in handicapped spaces while handicapped people, sorry Handy J, make handicapped faces. Because he's a hole. He's the world's biggest hole. I've gone through this at length about my theory that, yes, President Trump is a complete and total hole. And historically speaking, Americans love holes. We do. This is established. JFK, huge hole. Nixon, gigantic hole. All the great generals, holes. Patton, gigantic hole. American hero, yes, but still, hole. I mean, he got in trouble for slapping a dude in the face who had shell shock. You know, kind of a whole move. You don't walk up to somebody with PTSD and just start beating the shit out of them. But we love that type of personality because that kind of person strikes us as being in command, in control, capable of making those tough decisions. That's why women are attracted to that type of vibe. You know, the nice guys finish last. There's a reason that's said. People like forceful personalities. You want proof du jour? Get on Izzo's Facebook and see the comments on his shows. Because I love Izzo like a play cousin. He's one of my favorite brothers from another mother here on the Mojo 50 radio. But you know what? He'll be the first one to tell you. He'll shout it loud and proud from here. Loud and proud from here to the rafters all the way up in Chicago that he is an enormous hole. He is. It's the personality type. You know, there were some Mojo 50 hosts that didn't get along, but because you just had too many holes in one room. Too many of these forceful type A personalities. Me, I don't know if that's quite me, but I do a good job of playing one on the radio, don't I? I've been forced in my life many times to learn how to pare it down and be more diplomatic. And that was very challenging for me because I annoy the ever-loving out of people. It's something I've always done. Ask anybody in my family. Going back to when I was a wee little one. A little nerd. Okay, I was the most annoying kid you ever met in your life. And I love my sons. I love my sons with all my heart and soul. They appear to be following in their father's footsteps. They are constantly asking questions and constantly making unusual, grandiose statements that they know everything about everything. And I know this is not going to improve as they reach teenager years. And I see so much of myself in them at that age. It's crazy. But I digress. People respond to this. And President Trump's trolling it's just the most delicious salt. And if he keeps going like this, Biden's toast. He's toast. Warm, buttery toast. Anyway, so I wanted to get back. I teased it because I'm a dreadful tease. Go to Breitbart. Story from Breitbart. Anti-homeschooling Harvard professor doubles down on right-wing Christian conservatives. Became dominant and took over. Okay. So Harvard law professor Elizabeth Bartolet doubled down, hashtag like a native, that wasn't bad, doubled down Friday on her attacks against homeschooling, underscoring further her view that homeschooling parents are primarily right-wing Christian conservatives who may be abusing their children. Hold the phone. Hold up. You better have some grounds, because that's a hell of an accusation. Okay? In an interview done with the Harvard Gazette, Bartolet continued her call for a presumptive ban on homeschooling, this time further describing what she views as a form of education dominated by Christian conservative parents who engage in, quote, maltreatment of their children. If you're not pissed yet, brace yourself, pucker up tight, you're going to be. Over the past decades, right-wing Christian conservatives, I'm quoting now, became the dominant group in terms of numbers, and they completely took over in terms of political activism, Bartolet stated. Quote, their power has to do with their ideological fervor, their tactics, and the absence of any significant organized opposition. Organized opposition, you mean like the NEA or the education system as a whole. Really? Okay. Many academics and the biggest teachers' unions see, in the country have found homeschooling deeply problematic. Why? Because they're labor unions and it puts their members out of a job. Yeah, that's why they find that problematic. Bartolet had been scheduled in June to present to an invited-only audience, because of course it wouldn't be public, her call for a vast injection. That sounds rather penetrative. Of state control over what she describes as the unregulated regime, end quote, of homeschooling. Harvard Law School postponed the conference, however, stating the reason as COVID-19, when the actual reason was complete and total bullshit. The focus of the conference had been, quote, problems of educational deprivation and child maltreatment that too often occur under the guise of homeschooling in a legal environment with minimal or no oversight. Oh, this lady's getting on my nerves already. You don't have the right to... I'll come back to that. Bartolet created a firestorm in April, which, by the way, on Cowboy Logic, Donna Fiducia and... Oh, God, I can never remember. This is going to kill me. I remember Donna Fiducia's name, but I can... Cowboy Logic Radio. Don Newen. Damn it. Sorry, Don. Don Newen and Donna Fiducia had on Sam Sorbo. And Sam ripped this chick a new one. Just verbally devastated her. And this was like 2 weeks ago. Go back and check that out if you haven't checked out Cowboy Logic yet. I believe they actually follow this show on weekends. But back to the story. Bartolet created a firestorm in April when Harvard Magazine published an interview about her in her Arizona Law Review paper titled Homeschooling, Parent Rights Absolutism versus Child Rights to Education and Protection, in which she lamented the freedom associated with homeschooling and the fact that, quote, parents can now keep their children at home in the name of homeschooling free from any real scrutiny as to whether or how they are educating their children. Because as a parent, ma'am, I have the ultimate say on how my children are educated, and you do not. Bartolet provided the Gazette with her own history of homeschooling in America. Quote, behind the rapid growth of the homeschooling movement is the growth in the conservative evangelical movement. Conservative Christians wanted the chance to bring their children up with their values and belief systems. Clutch your pearls, ladies. Conservative Christians wanted the chance to bring their children up with their values and their belief systems and saw homeschooling as a way to escape from the secular education in public schools. You don't say. They had fought the battle with public school systems to have their children exempted from exposure to alternative views in the schools and lost. Yeah, mainly because of leftist lobbying. When they started withdrawing their children for homeschooling, this propelled expansion of the homeschooling movement. You damn right it did. Many homeschooling experts, however, say her research about homeschooling is shoddy and not at all current. In particular, her assertion that Christian parents homeschool primarily to instill their, quote, values and belief systems in their children. A 2017 report by William Hauer and William Donovan at the Boston-based Pioneer Institute noted that in 2012, only 17% of homeschooling families cited religious instruction as the predominant motivation for choosing that option. Environment in schools has become the predominant reason for 25% of homeschoolers, and 91% listed it as one of the reasons that was important to them, the researchers reported. To Bartolet's assertion that she, quote, has evidence that there's a strong connection between homeschooling and maltreatment, Carrie McDonald, Senior Education Fellow at the Foundation for Economic Education, wrote she agrees wholeheartedly that children need to be protected from abuse. McDonald observed, however, that one of the reasons parents choose to homeschool is just to do that, to protect their children from rampant bullying that exists in government schools and abuse by teachers and administrators. Quote, I agree with Bartolet when she says in the article, I think it's always dangerous to put powerful people in charge of the powerless and to give powerful ones total authority. She is concerned with families having this power, while I worry about giving that power to the government. Other dangers of homeschooling, said Bartolet, are the children simply not learning basic academic skills or learning about the most basic democratic values of our society. The allegation that homeschoolers are lacking in civic knowledge and the means to contribute to a democratic society is perhaps best addressed in the 2018 results of the Nation's Report Card released by the National Assessment of Educational Progress, the NAEP, that showed only 15% of 8th graders in mostly public schools in the U.S. are at or above the proficiency level in U.S. history, with only about 24% at or above proficiency in civics. In addition, the Pioneer Institute released in April revealed a historic drop in national reading and math scores among U.S. students since the adoption of the Obama-era Common Core standards a decade ago. Yeah. Guys, the whole big long story here. This Harvard lady, this Harvard professor, in all her glory, is spewing more rancid, diuretic horse than I have seen from any source in my life, and I live in rural Arizona. My wife has had the struggle of homeschooling one child and found it incredibly challenging, but persevered and prevailed. We have relatives. My wife has cousins who were homeschooled by their mother, who is a certified teacher, but chose to homeschool her students not in spite of her education as a teacher, but because of it. Because she knew that in her home, in a controlled environment, she could do better. There's nothing wrong with homeschooling. It's a difficult challenge. It's a difficult choice to make. But you can make it, and you can be successful. I kind of screwed up today. I got a little bit charged up, so I didn't really do all my ads, so that's my fault. If you haven't had a chance yet, go to mypatriotsupply.com through preparewithmojo50.com, preparewithmojo50.com. Preparation, not panic. All right, guys. That music means we are straight up out of time. So good night. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. From Phoenix. I'm Matt Holloway.